The mirror wants to be called sir.
I don't make the rules. I just run the shop.
We formulate our thoughts of how we see the world, and often they can become really hard-set, ardent, almost fanatical in our belief system.
Take the mirror. It's yours.
You would give me such a valuable thing as a gift?
I have a feeling you haven't received many gifts in your life.
But when we go through and interact or experience things that kind of come into conflict with what our worldview is already, we can end up with this cognitive dissonance of, this doesn't really fit. And for Isaac, he views people as inherently selfish, manipulative, that they will not do anything in any act of altruism. And so I think that this scene is really important for planting that first seed that perhaps maybe he's wrong about the whole of the human race. It can make a huge difference giving someone a smile, spending time, being generous, or having the right or warranted to be really angry and reactive, but you don't, even though you could. Because I think that flies in the face of what we are expecting. And those are those magical moments when someone acts classy or thoughtful, even when they don't have to, even when it would be warranted to be reactive or malicious or mean.
I see all your sharp-toothed little friends, and I've been afloat long enough to know what they are.
I will kill you and all your men and take it.
You could. If you did all that murdering and taking, who would be left to sail it?
The really cool thing about the captain is that he stays calm under pressure. You can tell that he's lived so much of a life that even in the face of someone threatening him, he can read people really well, very, very quickly. He knows that Isaac is not someone that's rash or just gonna react. And I think that when you've gone through a lot and seen a lot, often you don't have the same anxiety response as other people. You need to go through a bigger experience in order to go through that fight or flight. And so those two things, his ability to read people really quickly and the fact that he isn't exceptionally reactive, makes him be able to think things through and still use that cognitive part of his brain, even in the sign of a actual threat with actual monsters with really sharp, vicious little teeth.
And your word that your beasties won't eat any of my crew.
My word.
You've just said you've been disappointed by men making improper decisions. That leads me to believe that you're a man of your word.
What I like about the interaction also is that the captain also reacts in a way that Isaac doesn't expect. He's dealt with all of these people that are really rash, emotional, angry, greedy. When we go through that, that's another part to kind of break down that cognitive dissonance that Isaac has towards people being selfish and really just going through their baseline emotions. Isaac is kind of thrown back that not only is he negotiating, but he's going to hold him to his word, that that's the only agreement that he needs for him. Sometimes that showing of trust towards someone, especially when they haven't been trusted by others, is held to such a high value. And I think that for a lot of people, that feeling of someone else trusting them and trusting them with, in this case, their life, is very meaningful, in a lot of ways more meaningful than gold.
Musley?
Sufi.
Spinning around kind or the self-flagellating kind?
The latter.
I imagine it hurts.
It's not pain as you understand it.
When you're trying to persuade someone or change their opinion or get to know someone in a very honest manner, the first thing, one of the most important ways, is to be curious about someone else. I think that that's the problem. I'm gonna go on a small minor rant here. The cool thing about this scene is that it shows discourse in a way that we don't really see it anymore. We're all on social media trying to get our wins in, when people don't talk to each other anymore. They don't discuss things. It's all about winning, not about learning, not about knowledge, not about finding out about someone else. And I think that that's the problem, is that when you fight with someone else, when you're trying to beat someone down, you're trying to get that one line, I owned them, I destroyed them. And when you look on YouTube or any social media, it's all about they were destroyed or humiliated. The thing is that doesn't bring us together. That art of discourse, of learning, that Socratean debate, trying to come to a common truth, that's the opposite of this. And I think that Isaac and the captain, they have a honest discussion where The captain actually wants to find out about Isaac. He's not there to try to beat him down or make him feel bad about being different. He wants to really know him. And in order to have a really good discourse, especially when you're hoping to change someone's mind or open them up to a different idea, or perhaps have yourself opened up to a new idea, the first thing is to start on common ground. Start together. Find out about someone. Be curious. And honestly and genuinely curious, not in a way that I'm trying to find out about you so that I can use this against you later. Right away, that builds up defenses, and that puts us instead of on the same path where we can build something better together, but as opposing forces. And I think the captain does that so magnificently. He really cares and asks questions that are thoughtful instead of gotcha.
It stills the body and frees the mind to focus.
So why did you stop? Tell me the story, Isaac. The night is long and sailors like stories.
He also takes the time. We're so busy when we're having a discourse with someone else, a honest discourse. We're so busy thinking inside of our head about our own lines that we're not listening to what someone else is saying. If you want to have a really good conversation where you're really finding out about each other or perhaps bonding with someone, what you need to do that is give someone the space to be able to process.
I was a member of Dracula's court.
Dracula?
Sometimes those pauses are important, and I think that for some people, they feel uncomfortable with pauses in conversations, like they have to fill them with hems or ha's or moments, but you don't have to. It's okay to be able to have moments of silence, and sometimes that allows us for an even deeper thought. So sometimes not saying something is better discourse than filling every moment with some words, especially if they're just filler ones.
I find the human race worthless, and I suspect a fresh start would be good for the world.
Present company accepted, of course.
Usually people would react to, we're going to wipe out the entire human race, would be a valid point to be able to be like, maybe you shouldn't do that. The captain instead wants to know why. He wants to understand the reasoning of this, not just react to what's happening. And that is a much higher level of debate, to be able to pause even when someone gives a reactive remark, to be able to find out why they're saying it, not just about what they're saying.
You were planning on killing everyone in the world. I cannot, however, fail to note that I am still here. And you're not in Wallachia. What happened?
So he reframes, restates to say that I understand this is what you're saying, but I notice that there's a fallacy because this doesn't sit in alignment with your thought process. Why is that the case? So he asks a question, and he also gives information that will open up Isaac's mind frame of something must have changed and what caused that to happen. And it's often the causes, especially in psychology, it's the cause, the reason for something that's more important than what you actually did. It's the reason for it. It's the why, what happened in your mind, what changed it, what brought this about. And those are the really intriguing questions to find the answers to.
Well, after you've had your blood, what will you do then? Take up your Dracula's cause? Have you ever heard these maxims? If you don't have your own story, you become part of someone else's. I invented it.
I don't think that he invented it, but I love the line because it's so true. So what the captain is doing is he's planting these seeds of when you're taking on someone else's cause for someone else's reason, you're not the one writing your own story, and because of that, you can be swept up in someone else's pain or trauma or issues. We can become very tribal and us and them, and being part of this tribe means everything to us, and you lose your own identity. Maybe you should be thinking for yourself, for your own reasons. You have this magnificent power. You've been caught up in someone else's dream that isn't actually your own. But he just plants it. He doesn't hammer it home. He doesn't force it upon someone else. He doesn't make him feel stupid or little. And I think that that's what happens right now in social media. We make people feel small and dumb and disempowered. And because of that, people just become really angry and aggressive. That polarization makes common debate and discussion, the things that used to be, those times where that was the highest form of learning, was to have a really good faith discussion with someone else, it's gone. It breaks up when you have to start to call people names or make people feel like they don't belong. People just end up leaving feeling angry and worse, and they just want to destroy. They don't want to end up building something.
The human race is poisonous and corrupt.
And yet yesterday, a man gave you a gift and made a joke. But all you really remember is the port authority trying to run you and your beast is out of town.
And so what he's doing is he's poking little tiny holes in his cognitive dissonance, but in a really calm way. And we do that. We do that with social media. We do that with news stories that we see. We only absorb and really hold the stuff that already fits in the mind frame that we want to hold. It actually causes us a lot of emotional turmoil and distress when you start to listen to opposing viewpoints. It's really good for us. It keeps our brain really flexible, but it's so much easier to just believe that the human race is just all bad, that these things can't be different, that I couldn't be wrong, because then I don't have to change anything else. When people start to point out, and he gave concrete examples of things that Isaac said himself. So it's hard for Isaac to actually deny them because it's something he's already admitted. He just kind of lays them in place and says, if that's true, then why did this happen? And allows Isaac to kind of mull through that. And that's how we change someone that has that cognitive dissonance. You sometimes need someone to have the time, though, and the openness to process that. Often we're not going to be able to change our views really quickly. And if someone does it in an aggressive way, we immediately put our walls up, our defenses up, and we're going to deny and not even absorb anything that they've said. Often we won't even remember that they said it. But if it's said in a way from someone that we feel likes us, is aligned with us, and actually cares about hearing why we feel a certain way, it has much more power. If you're having a debate and you want to have a genuine good faith debate with someone else, you want to do it in that way, in a way where you're both learning about the other, not trying to beat the other person down. And we're all on this planet together, and hopefully we can come to solutions by listening, hearing each other, discussing it, and we don't all have to believe exactly the same thing, but hopefully we can kind of come together and come to some common truths.
If you kill us all, you end human cruelty, yes, but you end human kindness too. No more jokes, no more gifts, no more surprises.
And isn't that cool? Like, he could have just said, you know what, you're completely wrong. I completely disagree with you. And you could tell that then Isaac would have just been like, I'm going to dismiss everything that you said. Maybe you're right. Like, that could be true. But maybe it isn't. It opens up other people's mind to also give that same gift of maybe it's not. I think that a lot of times we think that the stronger, the louder, the more aggressive we are with something, the more powerful our statement is. That when you come in with a hammer, sometimes it just breaks things. That sometimes a soft argument is a much more powerful one, and it leads us to think about it for longer. And that is a much more persuasive manner to have debate. The act of destroying everything is finite and simplistic, whereas creating something, building something, believing, when you empower someone, it's so powerful. The amount of dopamine and endorphins when someone truly believes in you and sees your potential can really change the scope of what someone becomes. And I think that that hope is a much more powerful thing than hate or destruction.
Why would a man with all your fantastic knowledge not use it to teach people how to be kind? You could lead Isaac, just like you lead your beasties up there.
And there we have it. That's where you can see that crack in that there's only one way to do this, that maybe he can actually do better, be better. And that reflection of him looking at himself from a different scope. Sometimes we're so caught in our own mind frame or our own pain or our own trauma or our own past that we can only see one way out of it. And when all that we've seen is brutality, you can understand that that's the only way, the only rule. Even the way that he disciplines and focuses himself is through pain. But that maybe there's a better way, that maybe he as a ruler could be better, and that wonderful line that with great power comes great responsibility. And that's that crack in his cognitive dissonance that actually persuades him, gives him that idea that maybe he can be an act of good and change, and maybe he could teach people, just like he does with his creatures, that he shows them respect and thoughtfulness. Maybe if he does the same thing with people as a ruler, those underneath him can do the same as well.
I would like more water.
Then you shall have it. Isaac, the Forge Master. My gift, given freely.
And the other thing that the captain is doing is trying to show through his actions that people can be better. Not what you say, but what you do that sticks with someone. Saying don't smoke, yet smoking is not really going to teach someone not to smoke. The best way to teach someone not to do something is to be that act of change yourself, to create your own path, and hopefully other people will choose to walk that path after and learn the lessons and create their own.
Take your revenge.
I am not here to kill you.
What?
You and I, Hector, we have been children. Revenge is for children. It is our duty to grow up, don't you think?
I love that line. I love their interaction. We're no longer children. We need to grow up. And that's the growth that Isaac has done, taken that time to be able to think. And you can tell that the words that the captain has said really stuck with Isaac. It's interesting because there's often words and thoughts that kind of stay with us, that ring through in our head and repeat over and over because there's something true about them. And when we're trying to persuade someone else or alter things or give people words of wisdom, it has to be something that rings true. Just to say something that's unicorns and rainbows, even though I love those things, it doesn't stick if you don't believe it. And if you really listen to someone and hear what they say, then you can speak words that are much more true to them and valid and meaningful depending on their reactions and what matters to them.
I've tried to.
Good. It is time to find our own way.
It's great because, he takes all of the captain's words and makes them his own, and now he's teaching Hector to be able to do the same thing. That don't be a part in someone else's story, that every single day you're writing your own, and make sure it's one that you can feel happy and proud about.
You've changed.
I hope so. I believe you have as well. We were both mistreated by the human world. We were both admirers of Dracula's intellect.
Okay, it's really cool if you don't notice it, but when the captain was talking, he squeezed the lime into the water and he drank it that way. And now Isaac is doing exactly the same thing. He's giving the same lesson and teaching it in his own way. And that's the cool thing, is that some people, even if they've only been with us for moments or days, their words stay with us. We carry a piece with us. He internalizes all of those external things, but also that drink is kind of that meaningful thing of these words came from the captain. And so if you didn't really notice it the first time around, I thought that it was really cool that they're making the same thing because it's the same lesson being taught right now.
We were both admirers of Dracula's intellect. We both saw something bigger than ourselves in him. We both wanted to see the world punished.
And that can also happen with someone that is very charismatic, especially when people are hurt. We can become drawn to that charisma, that power, that intellect, people that have a very strong view that can be very compelling to others, especially when we feel lost. Sometimes they may be misguided or they might be doing something for the wrong reasons. And so that internal check of, is this something that really is what I want to do, is also really important. Especially if you lean towards being a caretaker, you can sometimes be swept up in someone else's hopes and dreams. And even when they're no longer aligned with your own, it's hard to be able to break free of that.
We can do more than that. We can and should move forward. What do you want, Hector?
And then he asks him the exact same question that the captain asked of him, so that Hector can also have that seed planted and hopefully do the things and live the life for himself instead of for someone else. Isaac traveled the world to learn and educate himself on a new way of life so he could become the narrator of his own story instead of playing a part in someone else's. But you don't have to travel the world. All you have to do is go to today's sponsor, brilliant.org, to learn a new skill and to get prepared for whatever life has to throw at you. Enjoy learning with Brilliant's ever-growing catalog of courses. Brilliant makes college-level courses available to everyone, with each course designed for high-velocity learning to help you stay focused and reach your goals fast. And Brilliant makes learning like a game, with fun features that let you challenge yourself and compete with others. So it never gets boring. And we know that when learning is fun and engaging, that knowledge sticks better and you'll learn more easily and quickly. And Brilliant has thousands of lessons from foundational and advanced math to AI, data science, neural networks, and more, with new lessons being added every month. I've covered their courses on algebra, logic, geometry, and I found them really engaging. And in their logic courses, they get to construct these critical thinking skills that are the basis for mathematical reasoning. And it was a lot of fun because it's interactive, and because I'm a visual learner, that really helps me to get to engage and actually see how things function instead of just having them told to me. They also have new courses on how technology works and thinking in code. And if you're still not sure, well, why don't you just try everything that Brilliant has to offer for free? Yes, free. For a full 30 days, just head on over to brilliant.org/Georgia Dow or click on the link in the description. The first 200 people will get 20% off of Brilliant's annual premium subscription. So just click on the link on the screen or head on over to brilliant.org/Georgia Dow. Clicking on that button really does help this channel. So thank you so much to Brilliant, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. So you can let me know what are your favorite Isaac moments. I also have another video I have it on Hector and Isaac and Camilla and a whole bunch of others from the Castlevania series, so you can check those out as well and let me know what you think in the comments below.